Hello again. Welcome back to Chapter 4 lecture. Chapter 10 lecture. This is part 4. We're going to go through slides 18 to 23 and pick up where we were before. Now, we left off with the Holy Roman Empire and how it was a bit of a challenge to the Byzantine Empire. But unfortunately, after Charlemagne died, his empire was split up into three for each of the three sons, and basically did not have any more challenges with the Byzantine Empire. So, moving on. Until Egypt was conquered by the Arabs, it had been the source of food for Byzantium, just like it had been the source of food for the United Roman Empire. It was up to the farmers in Anatolia and in the southern Danube regions to produce enough food for the Byzantines. Since the free peasants were given land in payment for being soldiers, remember the temes? They became stuck with growing food for the empire as well. After the 11th century, however, the land was accumulated or acquired by fewer and fewer families, causing the peasants to be bound to the land, as in the rest of Europe, in a serf or a manorial system. The peasants were not able to keep the land they once owned due to taxes and low population numbers. There had been waves and waves of the Black Plague. As a result, there were fewer men to be recruited as soldiers, and the whole political, military, and economy system became weaker and weaker. All right, Constantinople was also the home of many artisans and crafts workers of glassware, linen and woolens, gems, jewelry, and fine work in gold and silver. After silkworms were secretly imported from China, silk became a major industry, which the government closely watched and was a part of also. When one worked in the silk industry, he or she only knew one part of the whole process, similar to what they did in China. Trade from Asia, Russia, Northern Europe, and Scandinavia, and the Mediterranean was a huge bonus for being in the right location. Remember, who controls the resources has wealth, power, and influence. The bezant became the common currency throughout the Mediterranean for over 600 years. The bezant is the coin. We saw a bezant earlier when we were talking about Basil II. So for over 600 years, between the 6th and 12th centuries, the bezant was the common currency throughout the Mediterranean. Here's some examples of what I'm talking about. We can start here on the left with the green glassware. Just exquisite, just gorgeous the way they made this. Then we move on to the upper image of, that's a textile. Remember, textiles don't last very long. We've got some gold jewelry, and this one is a bracelet. You can see the inside of the bracelet looks just as beautiful as the outside. And how would these bracelets and earrings have been worn? Look at the mosaic down below. Here's another bezant. And as you can see, they consider themselves to be Christian. And remember the Caesaropapism, where the emperor is not only the political leader, but he's also the religious leader. Okay, so Emperor Leo III, who ruled from 717 to 741, and the Empress Irene, who ruled from 752 to 803, had to deal with something called iconoclasm. Irene was able to solve the problem by allowing people to keep their icons. Now, iconoclasm was the idea that more attention was being paid to the images of these beautifully painted, gilded icons or portraits, if you will, than actually being spiritual, spending time in prayer, spending time doing pious acts, that kind of thing. But it was Irena, a woman, who was able to solve this problem by allowing the people to keep their icons. Moving on to education, they had the humanities, literature, history, and philosophy from ancient Greece and Egypt, and this continued to be read and written about. We have a merging of ancient Greek philosophy with Christian ideals and theology during this time frame. Something that came out of this is monasticism. Monasticism actually came from Egypt. It was an Egyptian idea, but the Byzantine Empire really picked it up, and then it gradually spread into the rest of Europe. So monasticism is not where people went to study or learn, like what some of the European monasteries are, but are places of meditation and asceticism. In other words, to get away from the sinful world. Meanwhile, in the West, the semi-nomadic warrior-oriented Germanic barbarians were more interested in material goods that could be owned, bought, and sold, portable wealth, as opposed to indoor toilets, philosophy, water mills to grind wheat into flour, etc. And hence we have what has been called the Dark Ages in Europe. So here are some beautiful icons. This was an early reform movement, as I said, to get rid of the images in churches and private homes. But it was the Empress Irena who solved it by saying, okay, you can keep your icons. So we've got Madonna images here. We've got Jesus all by himself in the third from the left. And they're gilded and they're brightly painted and they're just beautiful, beautiful images. Okay, we're going to stop here and we're going to pick up with Byzantium and Eastern Europe in the next lecture. All right, thank you.